Going on, UFC nerds? We're back breaking down the entire card for UFC 252, Miocic versus Cormier 3, the trilogy. I had a blast last weekend breaking down the fights and talking with you guys in the comments section. That was awesome. I hope you all were able to check out my comments for the bets that I placed. We hit our parlay, which was Dariush and Hakprast, and a small straight play on Sanchez. Please tune in around Thursday or Friday for my plays for this upcoming card. Again, back in the comments section below. Right on, guys. Without further ado, let's get right into it. The first fight of the night. We have two UFC debutants going at it in the heavyweight division. We have Christopher Daukaus taking on Parker Porter. Daukaus is plus 105. He is 30 years old, 6'2", 256 pounds. We couldn't find a reach on him. He is 8-3 and 0-0 in the UFC. He is the brother of Kyle Daukaus, who we all know that he put on a great show against Brandon Allen a few weeks ago. So basically, he has heavy hands. He keeps his hands super high, which we like. He looks super relaxed in there. He has powerful hooks. He mixes his strikes up really well, throwing nice leg kicks, nice high kicks, nice elbows. The guy has 7 knockouts on his resume with 1 decision. What can he kind of work on is like he has some sloppy high kicks. He will fall backwards at times when he throws those sloppy high kicks, so that's something to watch out for. He's been knocked out clean last March, by the way. He looks super tired after the first round, and he really hasn't been past the second round in his career. 2 knockout losses, 1 submission loss. Let's take a look at Porter. He is minus 135. UFC debut. He is 35 years old, 6 feet, 265 pounds, 74-inch reach, 10-5. So he's going to be a little bit shorter, but a little bit heavier. What we like about Porter is he keeps his hands high. He has power, heavy overhand rights. He just likes to spam those. Nice leg kicks, keeps pressure on opponents. Strong clinch strikes. Nice top control with some ground and pound. He shows well-roundedness with numerous subs wins on his record and some knockout wins as well. He can go 3 rounds. Hasn't really been finished since 2013. So he shows a lot of durability, shows a lot of toughness. He has 5 knockouts and 3 submissions on his record. On the other side, he fought some low-level opposition. He's short. He's kind of slow for the heavyweight division. He plots his shots, especially that overhand right, and he leaves himself open to getting countered when throws, a flurry of shots. He also kind of slows down a little bit after round 1, but not as bad as Daukaus. His most recent loss was basically an illegal shot. So our prediction for the fight, I'm going to go with Porter via stoppage. It is a low-level heavyweight bout. Both guys are looking good against lower-level opposition, which they're supposed to. Porter is the older of the two by 5 years and will be the smaller guy, but I feel like he's more well-rounded. Porter will have to be wary of that first round against Daukaus and capitalize. When Daukaus throws those high kicks and falls backwards, he needs to get on top of him. If Porter can survive the first round, which I think he should, he will be able to take advantage of rounds 2 and 3, steal that, take advantage of a tired Daukaus. In terms of the line, you can't really play either guy. I don't think it's a safe play on both sides. Daukaus, you're not really getting much of an underdog price. And Porter, again, he's kind of the undersized guy here. He's older. Both guys making their UFC debut. It's going to just be a hard, ugly pass. All right, guys, next up we have TJ Downtown Brown taking on Danny, the Colombian warrior Chavez. We're going to look at TJ Brown. He is minus 175. He is 30 years old, 5'9", 145 pounds with a 73.5-inch reach. He is 14-5, 1-1 in the UFC. His 1 win in the UFC came in the Contender Series against Dylan Lockhart. That was a back-and-forth fight, and he finished the fight in the 3rd round by an arm triangle. Then he lost his next fight against Jordan Griffin, where he got choked out. But he was taking Jordan Griffin down, and he was giving him a fight. So TJ Brown, what we like about him is he applies heavy pressure. He has super strong wrestling. He threatens with some submissions. He has 9 submissions and 4 knockout wins on his record. He can go 3 rounds, but he is 1-1 in decisions. So more than likely, when he fights, the fight won't go the distance. He fought the better opposition recently, but most of his wins were against lower level competition prior to the UFC. This guy will straight up fight for your money, which we like. He has also fought at both lightweight and featherweight, so he's used to fighting the bigger guys, and he hasn't been to a decision since 2016. What he can work on, he can be taken down and subbed as well. Dylan Lockhart was able to get a few takedowns on him before gassing out. Griffin took advantage of Brown's pressure for a guillotine win. Really, this guy will either finish or get finished. Let's take a look at Chavez. He is 33 years old, 5'8", 145 pounds. We couldn't find a reach on this guy. He's 10-3 and he's making his UFC debut. I forgot to add he's a plus 145 underdog. So basically, he shows nice takedowns of his own. He applies pressure against the cage. He shows aggressiveness early on. He has nice kicks, strong low kicks. He has 3 straight wins by knockout, and he can go the 3 rounds without too much issue. What we kind of don't really like from him is he doesn't have strong top control. His opponents can get back up if he does take him down, and he can be tagged clean coming in. His output lowers as the rounds progress. So in rounds 2 and 3, he'll start to slow down a little bit. Opponents can easily shoot for takedowns on him later in the fight. And he has a 1 submission loss on his record. My prediction for this fight, I'm going to take TJ Brown via submission. Both fighters haven't gone to a decision since 2016, and both fighters come out super aggressive early on. TJ will use his experience and relentless takedown pressure to get the fight on top. Chavez can definitely clip Brown coming in and maybe capitalize on some sloppy takedowns, but I see Brown holding this one together. This fight should be much less difficult for Brown than his last 2 fights. Right on, guys. We're going to take a look at the next fight of the night. We have Felice Little Bulldog Herrig taking on Virna Jandiroba. I hope I'm saying her nickname right. Let's take a look at Felice Herrig here. She is plus 230. She is 35 years old, 5'4", 115 pounds with a 65-inch reach. She is 14-8, 5-3 in the UFC. She is a plus 230 underdog. That's pretty big for a seasoned veteran like Felice Herrig. But let's take a look at what she's good at. She's clearly fought the much better opposition, and she has a lot more UFC experience. When you take a look at her resume, she has losses to Michelle Waterson, Carolina, Paige Van Zandt, Tisha Torres, and she has wins over Courtney Casey, Justine Kish, Alexa Grasso. Caitlin Curran doesn't say much, but that's still a solid win. She can go 3 rounds without much issue. Majority of her wins are by decision, so she doesn't pack that power. She has several submission wins against lower-level opposition. Shows a decent takedown game and top control of her own. She prefers to take the fight to the mat. That's kind of her game, overall. She wants to take that fight to the mat. She keeps calm in dangerous situations. When you're betting on a girl like that, you like seeing that. She keeps super calm and relaxed. She makes her opponents work extra hard to get back up. We like that too. She's very tough and durable. What we kind of don't like, she isn't particularly a good striker. Like we mentioned, she will get outstruck by clearly better strikers, and the striking numbers can be close against fellow grapplers. She's getting older. She's 35 now. She throws low output on the feet. She will get back up if she gets outstruck. Somewhat low fight IQ, utilizing her strength later in fights when she should have started much earlier. That's a big one. So she's having, against the Alexa Grasso, she should have been shooting for takedowns since the first round, not the third round. She seems to have fallen kind of in love with her striking. That can be a little dangerous. Can be held down and won't show much urgency to get back up, and that could be trouble against a fellow grappler who likes to wrestle. Felice, she likes those dog fights. She's willing to give a shot, to take a shot. Let's take a look at Virna Jandiroba. She is minus 300. Holy cow. She is 32 years old, 5'3", 115 pounds with a 64-inch reach. She has a record of 15-1, 1-1 in the UFC. Her only loss was to Carla Esparza, and that was her UFC debut, and that was a back-and-forth wrestling grind. where Carla Esparza got the upper hand on that. And then she had a win over Mallory Martin, a rear naked choke in the second round. Martin came up on short notice for that one. But let's take a look at what she's good at. She has a lot of submission wins on her record, a ton. She prefers to fight on the ground just like Felice. She has nice takedowns. She was taking down Carla Esparza at times. She's very relaxed on the mat, even in dangerous spots, due to her high grappling prowess. Virna has never been finished. She's been taken down for the first time in her career against Carla Esparza, who we all know is a solid wrestler. She has a very strong top control and will threaten with subs constantly. She shows nice knees in the clinch. She's tough and durable, and she has 9 wins by sub on her record. What she can work on, she has sloppy striking. She looks super stiff on the feet. She will burn herself out quick if she works for the sub and doesn't get it. She's very hittable, and her shots are telegraphed easily. She's 0-1 in decision. We don't really take that into account. Her only decision loss was against Carla Esparza. We can give her a pass for that one. My prediction, it's tough. I'm going to take Virna by decision. Both girls are tough as hell on the mat, though. Virna is the younger fighter, and I feel like Felice is kind of on her way out. Felice has clearly fought the better opposition, but we have seen her controlled and taken down the mat by lesser experienced grapplers than Virna. Virna will be relentless and will threaten with those subs. Both look super stiff on the feet, and both are, have similar styles and size. So, both girls have, they're both really good at grappling. They have that grappling prowess. Unfortunately, you can't bet Virna at -300. The value right here is on the dog at Felice Herrig at +230, with the experience. But my prediction is going to be Virna Jandiroba by decision. All right, guys. Next up, we have Gilbert Burns' brother, Herbert Burns, taking on the returning Daniel Pineda. So Herbert, the Blaze Burns, he's -300. He is 32 years old, 5'9", 145 pounds, with a 74-inch reach, 11-2, 3-0 in the UFC. He is the brother of welterweight contender Gilbert Burns, so he's getting that top quality training. He's on a 5-fight win streak. He has 8 wins by sub. So this guy loves his submissions. He loves getting the fight to the mat. He trains with his brother, like I said. His only losses were by decision to super tough Russians. One of them was actually undefeated. He likes the knees in the clinch. He will shoot aggressively for takedowns. This guy shows a pretty decent chin. He does get cracked in a few fights, but the guy recovers well and turns the fight around. He's super tough and durable. He has nice body kicks. He will find the submission early on if he sees opportunities for it. He can go the 3 rounds without too much problem. If his opponents if they have better positions on Burns, he will remain calm and he'll find a way out in reverse, which we like. What we don't like too much is that he will pull guard if he can't get the takedown. He has been tagged a few times due to his striking looking a little bit green still, but again, he recovers kind of well. And he's okay falling to his back after throwing crazy kicks. The guy is okay being, on the bottom, on top, it doesn't matter. He'll throw things, be in bad positions just to get the fight to the mat. And he will kind of be out-grappled by better wrestlers. Let's take a look. So he has wins over Evan Dunham. We know that Dunham is on the way out, kind of old. Nate Landwehr, that was a back and forth until it was the knee in the clinch. Dropped him, but it was still a competitive back and forth one. And then the Derek Minner one was a super quick one. So the level of competition is okay. It's not too bad, but it's nothing to write home about. Let's take a look at Daniel Pineda. He is +230. He's 35 years old, 5'7", 145 pounds, 70-inch reach, 26-13, 3-0 in the UFC. Oops, sorry. I put 3-0 in the UFC. That's a mistake. Let's take a look here. My bad, guys. I should have rewritten that one. He is 3-4 in the UFC. So excuse that 3-0. He is 3-4 in the UFC, and he last fought in 2014 in the organization. So it's basically his last 2 fights in the PFL. They were a no contest due to high testosterone levels. Last UFC fight was in 2014, like I said. Basically pros, the guy is a seasoned veteran in the game. He has so much experience under his belt. He's fought a lot of good guys like Matt Brown, Diego Brandao, when Brandao was, back in the day, coming off the Ultimate Fighter, winning the show, looking all right. He's a submission specialist himself. He has 12 submission wins of his own on his record. And he's only been submitted once in his career. Khan's basically, post UFC, he's fought lower level competition. And he, loses to guys pretty easily with power or just better striking overall. We're going to take Burns in this one. That's my prediction. Burns via submission. That's kind of an obvious pick in my opinion. They're kind of bringing Pineda back into the UFC to kind of kick him back out and to get another name under Burns' belt. I know Pineda is a sub-specialist, but at 35 years old, it feels like he's being thrown here as a stepping stone. If Pineda has better positioning on the mat, Burns will find his way out without even panicking. Burns, I feel, is levels ahead on the mat than Pineda. He might have the edge in the striking department, Pineda, maybe. But, he primarily wants this fight on the mat, which plays right into Burns' game. Burns by minus 300, though. That, I feel like that price is going to skyrocket later in the week. You can throw him in a parlay. I think that's still parlayable at minus 300. Or you can take Burns inside the distance. I don't have a prop on that yet. But I'll see. I like Burns. I like playing Burns this week. All right, guys. Next up, we're going to take a look in the women's strawweight division. We have Livinha, the Brazilian gangster Souza, taking on Ashley, the spider monkey Yoder. We're going to take a look at Livinha Souza. She is minus 150. She is 29 years old, 5'3", 115 pounds, 63-inch reach, 13-2 MMA, 2-1 in the UFC. So what we like about her, she looks kind of well-rounded with 7 submission wins. Excuse me. 2 TKO wins and several decision wins of her own. She has decent takedowns and will keep searching for takedowns despite not getting them. She shows to have a little bit of power in her shots as well. She's fought some decent competition. She prefers to have the fight. She prefers to have the fight on the mat. That's kind of where her bread and butter is. She's never been finished, and this girl is super tough. I'll give her that. What we kind of don't like about her really is, she'll keep the fight close when standing. Fights are super close when she's only striking. She can be out-grappled by better grapplers and outstruck by, former grapplers as well. Her striking really isn't very good. It's kind of sloppy. When her fights go to the scorecards, they end up a lot closer than you really want them to be, and it shows in her 2 decision losses. She can go 3 rounds, but cardio is not as good as Yoder's, in my opinion. Less UFC experience and fought the worst opposition than Yoder. 1 year layoff from her last fight, so maybe she comes back a little bit rusty. We don't know. Against Frota, Frota was holding her down surprisingly, and Souza doesn't look very big either in there. She doesn't show much striking, and her takedowns get sloppy as the fight progresses, and she can be out-muscled. Let's take a look at Ashley Yoder. She is plus 120. She is 32 years old, 5'7", 115 pounds, 66.5-inch reach. She'll have a little bit of a slight reach advantage, but not too much. She's 7-5 overall, 2-4 in the UFC. I'll tell you what about Ashley Yoder, though. She's a gamer. I mean, this girl has been in there with some solid competition. Justine Quiche, Angela Hill, Mackenzie Dern. I mean, those girls are kind of no slouches. They're like the top 20, top 15 chicks. And then she has, an all right win over Amanda Cooper, who really isn't UFC level, and Siri Kondo, who's probably her best win, and then a loss to Randa Marcos. And all those fights that she lost were by decision, so she's been holding her own. Yoder's super tough in game throughout the fights, and she'll keep it close against good UFC competition. She has decent submission games of her own, having several wins by submission, and she'll always find the subs during the fights. She'll try to submit you even if she's fighting someone with better submission. With the better submission game, she'll always look for some of her own. She shows decent submission defense on the mat as well. Can go the 3 rounds without any issue. She's fought the much better opposition. She shows decent takedown defense, allowing only 1 takedown out of 6 against Dern, so we like seeing that. She likes to throw volume, lots of strikes, but they're a little bit sloppy. But let's take a look at some things that she can work on. She keeps the fight much closer than they need to be. She's 2-5 in the UFC on scorecards. So if this fight goes to a decision, You got to be careful that the judges don't screw her over. She lacks a significant strikes count, which affects her decision losses throughout the judges' eyes. Those significant strikes are big, and she doesn't have too many of them. She can be controlled against the cage, and in the clinch against stronger girls, she can be controlled. She's willing to be in a dogfight, and she's willing to give a shot to take a shot. My prediction for this one, I'm going to take the upset. I want to take Ashley Yoder by decision. If you're betting on low-level women's MMA, this fight's going to be closer than the line suggests. And it's just the value is always going to be on the dog. Yoder will be the bigger fighter, in my opinion. And if she gets on top, I don't believe Souza will be able to get back up. Yoder just has to watch out for the submissions on the mat, as she has been submitted in the past. But Yoder fighting, much better opposition and losing to more skilled fighters, in my opinion, will help her in this one. If Sarah Frota can hold down Souza with no problems, I think Ashley Yoder can. So give me Yoder by decision. All right, guys. Next up, we have Battle of Lightweights as Jim Miller taking on Vinc Pichel. We're going to take a look at Jim Miller, Mr. A10. That's his nickname. He is minus 110. He is 36 years old, 5'8", 155 pounds, 71-inch reach. He is 32-14, 21-13-1 in the UFC. This guy is a straight OG veteran. Holy cow, has this guy been fighting for a long time? It feels like forever. When you look at his resume, the list goes on and on. He's fought some killers: Poirier, Pettis, Trinaldo, Hooker, Oliveira, Scott Holtzman. He just upset Roosevelt Roberts. He beat Clay Guida, the Joe Lozon fights. Thiago Alves, Diego Sanchez, Chiesa, Dariush. The list just goes on and on. Let's take a look at Miller. He's 4-2 in his last 6. The vet has been fighting in the UFC since 2008. He's very well rounded. We all know that. He has striking, he has wrestling, he has grappling. He does his best work on the mat, though. He's super tough, durable, and this guy is a true grinder. He's seen it all. He's been through it all. He's faced some of the best in the division, and he's only lost to fighters in the top 10s or the top 20s. He's only been knocked out twice in his career, so we know Miller, is pretty durable. He'll get tagged in some fights, but really, he's only been knocked out twice cold in 2 of his fights in 21 UFC fights. Cons, basically, Miller will go down to a superior striker. He will get out-grappled to more established grapplers. His chin can be cracked against heavy hitters. And, at this point in his career, he's taken so much damage. I know the guy is extremely savvy, and, he has that nice speed advantage. But really, if you crack him good, I think he can go down. Let's take a look at Vinc Pichel. He is minus 120, so he is the tiny bit favorite. It's almost even. He's 37 years old, so he's 1 year older than Jim Miller. He's 5'10", 155 pounds, 72-inch reach. He is 12-2, 5-2 in the UFC. The guy is a little bit taller, but that really shouldn't matter too much. Miller has fought taller guys before. So pros, basically, Pichel has heavy hands and he's very durable. He's tough to put away. He shows a decent wrestling game and will threaten with submissions on occasion. He keeps his total strikes on par with his significant strikes, which is pretty big, and he likes to break down his opponents nice and slow. He applies that nice pressure, and he has nice clinch control against the cage. He uses his grinding game against opponents with lesser experience on the mat. He shows decent ground and pound if on top or if he has side control. This guy is super game. What he could work on, Pichel can be taken down and submitted. We've seen that. He's been taken down 9 times in his last 2 fights. Pichel will overextend at times with his punches. Pichel can be held down, grinded out hard against stronger grapplers. And this dude is okay slugging it, making him the dogfight. My prediction, I'm going to take Jim Miller, and I'm going to take him by submission. Pichel excels against lesser experienced grapplers. We've seen that. And I believe all Miller needs is 1 or 2 takedowns, and the savvy vet should implement a dominating top game and get a submission. Both men are in their late 30s, but I feel like Miller is somewhat, it looks like he's kind of on a career resurgence here, with these recent wins. Miller just needs to watch out for Pichel's hands. use his slight speed advantage, which I think he has, and I think Miller should be okay. At minus 110, that's not a bad price. You can take him straight. All right, guys, we're hitting the main card. We have the rematch between Magomed Ankalaev versus Ion the Hulk Cutelaba. So we'll start with Ankalaev. He is minus 285. He is 28 years old, 6'3", 205 pounds, 75-inch reach, 13-1 MMA, 4-1 in the UFC. He's on a 4-fight win streak since his fluke loss to Paul Craig. Real nice front kicks. He has nice head kicks, nice striking with some decent power. 8 knockouts on his record. He has a decent takedown game. He throws some nice volume. The guy fights long and tall. He uses his frame to make opponents miss. He can go 3 rounds all right. Shows both the ability to pace himself, picking his shots well, and he also shows the ability to finish fights early with brute force. He shows decent takedown defense, stopping all of Klitzen's takedowns. He has good low kicks. We saw that. Nice knees in the clinch. He moves well in and out. When he takes his opponents down, he'll show decent ground and pound. What Ankalaev can kind of work on. He could be taken down himself. Craig took him down twice. And he can be susceptible to submissions. Again, Paul Craig, threatening with the subs. And he can be controlled on the ground. He can be hit to the body by rangy strikers. And it kind of looks like he has more of a hard time against fighters, of his size or bigger. Let's take a look at Cutelaba. He is plus 225. He is 26 years old, 6'1", 205 pounds with a 75-inch reach, 15-5 MMA, 4-4 in the UFC. When these guys were fighting last, Cutelaba, he was looking okay, but Ankalaev was kind of getting the upper hand on him. But let's take a look. Cutelaba, he's super aggressive. We all know that. He likes to establish the center of the cage early, and he likes to apply pressure. Doesn't hold, he doesn't back down, and he keeps moving forward. He shows super heavy hands, and he will go for the kill early if he sees blood. He has a nasty right hand, and when it lands, it hurts his opponents without question. He shows a nice high kick, body kick, spinning back fists. He has nice speed early, a nice head movement in the first round. If he gets on top, the guy will implode some nasty ground and pound. Cons, basically, he loves being in dogfights. He will eat shots to land his own power shots. He can be taken down and controlled on the mat. Will tire out after the first round if he doesn't pace himself. And he doesn't show much off of his back, as he's been submitted by better grapplers. His UFC wins are against lower level competition. But he has some fought better, but he has lost to better opposition like Glover, Cannonier, and Serkinov. He doesn't prefer the fight to go to the third. The guy will be exhausted by the third, the way he fights. My prediction for this one, I got to go with Ankalaev, and I'm going to take him by submission. This fight will pick right back off where they left off, I feel like, in their first meeting. Ankalaev will come in. Cutelaba, he'll come in, and they're going to start swinging. I think there's going to be some bad blood here, and someone's going to go down. Ankalaev, he should avoid the onslaught, make Cutelaba gas himself out while mixing in a few takedowns of his own, establishing top control. I feel like Ankalaev is just too well-rounded for Cutelaba, and I believe his chin can hold if he gets tagged clean. Ankalaev performs better against shorter fighters. We've kind of seen that. So my prediction, I'm going to take Ankalaev by submission. All right, guys, next fight, we have some smaller bantamweights here as John, the Magician Dodson, taking on Merab, the Machine Dvalishvili. We're going to take a look at John Dodson. He is plus 155. He is 31 years old, 5'3", 135 pounds with a 66-inch reach, 21-11 MMA, 10-6 in the UFC. I mean, this guy's a veteran at this point. He's a 2-time flyweight challenger, Ultimate Fighter winner. So he's been there and done that. But basically, we'll take a look. Dodson is super fast. We know that. Even at 35 years old, now the guy is super quick. Oh my God, did I put 31 years old? I apologize for that. He is 35. Ignore the 31. I'm making some mistakes here. Sorry about that, guys. But he is 35 years old, and he's still got speed, and we've seen that. He has the edge and experience, and his level of opposition is way ahead of Merab's. He shows unbelievable durability, and he's never been finished in his career. Sure, he's been hurt, he's been tagged, but he's never been finished clean. And he still shows some pops in his hands, dropping Wood, dropping Yan for a little bit. Dodson has a decent wrestling game as well, and he keeps that in his back pocket, really, if the stand-up isn't going too well. What he can work on, it's hard to say, but I feel like his time might be coming to an end. We've seen the best Dodson that he has to offer. This is his last shot at really making a run back to a title shot. Dodson has been taken down in some of his fights as well, and his striking output can be a little bit low at times. If he's losing the fight clearly, Dodson, he won't put himself at risk to get the late finish. He's fine cruising during the fight. This is really his last shot, so he has to make it count. Dodson seems to have trouble with bigger, stronger grinders and heavier-handed strikers that push him back. Let's take a look at Merab. He is minus 190. He is 29 years old, 5'6", 135 pounds, 68-inch reach, 11-4 MMA, 4-2 in the UFC. He's coming off 4-fight win streak since his last loss to Ricky Simone over some decent competition like Casey Kenny, Brad Katona, Tyrion Ware, and Gustavo Lopez. Let's take a look. Merab, this guy's a relentless grinder. His pressure is unmeasurable. I mean, this guy, he'll try to get 17 takedowns, 20 takedowns a fight. His ground and pound strikes are a huge problem for his opponents. When he gets them down, he just starts wailing on them. His style is one that really impacts the judges' decisions. I mean, they see this guy working for the takedowns. Even if he's 4 for 16, I mean, if they see him working for it and getting some ground and pound, that really sways the judges' decisions. What really Merab can work on, despite quite a few favorable matchups and dominating wins, he doesn't really show much power behind his shots, as really a majority of his wins are by decision. So even if he has that nice ground and pound and those total strikes, super high count, the guy really doesn't have too much pop in his hands. Merab is fine with keeping control, and he doesn't risk losing position to finish the fight. He won't risk going to different positions. If he because he might get reversed. He's just gonna stick to that one position, that one spot. Merab feels uncomfortable being the one who's taken down or controlled, as he's used to implementing the strategy to his opponent. So he has to watch out for Dodson maybe getting inside and getting a takedown that could really mess him up mentally. My prediction for this fight, I'm going to have to take Merab by decision. I'm not too high or comfortable on that, but I'm going to have to take Merab by decision. This may be closer than we think. Dodson, he only lost to fighters with power that keeps him at bay. Yan, Moraes, Rivera, Lineker, with solid takedown defense. Here, Merab doesn't impose that same power, but he does impose an extremely relentless wrestling game. Dodson was taken down against Wood and Munoz, and I can see Merab landing takedowns during the later rounds. Really, guys, be careful, though, because his fights usually go to the judges, and when he fought Frankie Saenz and, he landed, 11 takedowns, he still lost that decision. My pick's going to be Merab. I'm not too confident on that. Be careful, guys. All right, next fight. We got some big boys, some heavyweights. We're going to have Junior Cigano dos Santos taking on Jairzinho, Biggie Boy Rozenstruik. We're going to take a look at JDS. He is plus 125. He is 36 years old, 6'4", 247 pounds, 77-inch reach, 21-7 MMA, 15-6 in the UFC. This guy, the former heavyweight champ, he's a veteran in that division. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. Let's take a look. He lost to Curtis Blades, lost to Francis Ngannou, and then he was on a 3-fight winning streak before that. So, and then, he lost to Stipe, lost to Overeem. The guy's only lost to really top contenders. Junior is the veteran here. He's the former heavyweight champ. He's fought the who's who of the division. The guy has seen it all. Junior has great boxing. We know that. He has a nice left jab, quick and powerful hands with nice leg kicks, and he has nice head movement. He shows solid power still to this day in his strikes and will throw beautiful combinations. Junior can also go 3 rounds really without much issue. Let's take a look at some things that he could, work on or that we don't like to see. Junior, really, he doesn't feel comfortable being backed up against the fence. He really doesn't. Junior has endured a lot of wear and tear in his career, and we're not sure where his chin's at. It may be a tad fragile at this point in his career. Junior is open to being countered when he leans in to throw his right. We don't know where Junior's mind is at right now. We don't know if he's coming back just for a paycheck or if he's coming back and he feels like he can make a crack at the top again. We don't know. All right, so let's take a look at Jairzinho, minus 155, so he's a slight favorite. He is 34 years old, 6'4", 260 pounds, so he'll be a little bit heavier, 78-inch reach, 10-1 MMA, 4-1 in the UFC. And let's not disregard that Jairzinho has 76 kickboxing victories, so this guy really is no scrub on the feet. Jairzinho is coming off that hellacious knockout loss to Francis Ngannou. I mean, he was sent to outer space with that. Before that, he had a nice win over Alistair Overeem. I feel like he was losing that fight up until the last 5 seconds where he got that finish. It was still impressive nonetheless. Then it was the Arlovsky finish, Alan Crowder, Junior Albini. His competition really hasn't been, it's been okay, but it's not on the level of Junior Dos Santos. I mean, we all know that. No way. Let's take a look at what he's good at. Jairzinho has power and he has the ability to end it in one shot. We've seen that. He may be newer in the MMA scene, but really he has a lot of experience, prior to the UFC and kickboxing. He shows a nice, decent get-up game, and he has only been finished once in his career against Francis. He shows the willingness to not quit, and he will look for the finish when he's losing. So, if you're betting on a guy like that, you like seeing that. Even if he's down on the cards and he has 4 seconds left, the guy will go. He will either get killed or he will either kill or be killed. Sorry about that. Let's take a look at some things he can work on. He can be held up against the fence. He can be held up in the clinch. He can be a bit slow at times, plotting with his movements. And I feel like that's the case because he's cautious of the takedowns. He's looked much slower in the 4th and 5th against Overeem, and he was getting outstruck as well. A majority of his wins are against fighters really no longer in the UFC, except for Arlovsky and Overeem. Jairzinho can be held down if taken down, and when you take this guy down, he really has no answers on the mat. My prediction, guys, I'm going to take the upset. I'm taking the veteran. The value is on Junior Dos Santos here, and I'm going to take him by a surprising decision. We'll see if Jairzinho comes back, the same after getting knocked out by Francis. That could change fighters. We don't know how he's going to come back, if he's going to come back more motivated than ever or if he's going to come back scared. Despite Jairzinho's kickboxing background, I really feel like Junior will still have the advantage on the feet, particularly in the boxing game. But JDS, he may be able to sneak in a few takedowns like Albini and Overeem did. And Junior will have the speed advantage, I feel like. And really, if he doesn't get caught, he should pick apart Jairzinho from the outside. Junior's losses come by extremely strong wrestlers or huge power punchers with speed. Jairzinho packs power, but he lacks that speed. This could be somewhat of another Derek Lewis JDS fight where Lewis is just using his speed to pick him apart. But I think the value is on the veteran here, and I'm going to take Junior Dos Santos by decision. All right, guys, co-main event time. We have Sugar Sean O'Malley taking on Marlon Chito Vera. This one's going to be a fun one, guys. It's going to be a brutal back and forth affair. We're going to take a look at Sean O'Malley. He is minus 335. He is 25 years old, 5'11". He is tall for the bantamweight class, 135 pounds, 72-inch reach, 12-0, so he's undefeated in MMA, and he's 5-0 in the UFC. What we like about Sean O'Malley, this kid's a freaking sniper on the feet. He's cool, calm, collective when he fights. He will pick his shots super carefully, and when he decides to throw it, they're going to be impact shots. His most recent run were against lower level opposition in the UFC, but really he handled those accordingly like he was supposed to. O'Malley shows extreme durability. When he was fighting Hurt against Sukumtath, he still pulled off the win. O'Malley looks very versatile with striking, and he has hints of decent takedown game. You know, we've seen him have some takedowns in the past. He shows nice low leg kicks, front kicks, and side kicks to the shin. So he fights a little bit dirty, but we like that. O'Malley is very quick on the feet, and his opponents have a hard time reading him because he's always constantly switching his stances. So we know O'Malley is super unpredictable. Basically, some cons about O'Malley, you know, there's not too many yet, but, you know, he can be taken down. Sukumtath had a few good shots where O'Malley didn't see them coming, so he has to look out. He can be held against the fence and in the clinch by stronger guys. You know, Tyrion Ware was having some success with that. O'Malley's hands drop. You know, if you notice that, his hands drop lower and lower as the round progresses. They'll start super high. Mid-round, they'll be kind of low, and then during the fight, they may just be down to his legs. You know, Ware was having some success landing low leg kicks, so he doesn't really check those low leg kicks. Let's take a look at Marlon Chito Vera. He is a plus 225 underdog. He's 27 years old, 5'8", so he's going to be a little bit shorter, 135 pounds, 70.5-inch reach, 17-6-1 MMA, 9-5 in the UFC. Marlon Vera, let's take a look. He's coming off a loss to Yadong Song. That was a close fight. Could have gone either way. Before that, a nice win over Andre Ewell by ground and pound. Noelim Hernandez, a submission win. Frankie Saenz, a brutal knockout in the first round. You know, Vera's a killer, and he wants to finish the fight. You know, majority of his wins are by stoppage. Vera looks very multidimensional, shows nice submissions and striking power. He can wrestle, and he will constantly look for submission openings with strong body triangles. Vera has nice low leg kicks, keeps his hands high, and he will work from bottom with strikes of his own if he gets taken down. What Vera kind of needs to work on, you know, he's 1-5 in decisions. If he doesn't get the finish in the fight, there's a real good chance he will lose a decision. Vera is okay going to war. I mean, this guy is okay with those dog fights, you know, taking a hit to give a hit. And that could be costly against better strikers. Vera can be taken down by stronger wrestlers and held down. Vera doesn't seem to check much leg kicks either, and he can be held up against the fence in the clinch. My prediction for this fight, you know, I was thinking Cheeto, but you have to go O'Malley. That momentum is real. That confidence is real. I know Chito Vera, this is O'Malley's biggest test to date. Chito Vera is dangerous, but you have to ride with the hot hand right now. You know, I see Chito being tough enough to not get finished, as he was never finished in his career. Could this be the first time he gets finished? Maybe, but the guy has shown a lot of durability. Chito is the slower fighter of the two, I believe, in my opinion. And if Chito doesn't take this fight to the mat and look for subs, I feel like O'Malley will have his way with them on the feet. This could be interesting. You know, we've never seen O'Malley tested on the feet or on the mat. But again, you know, you have to ride the momentum. It's real. I mean, just, you know, we've seen some, you know, we've seen uppercoming guys like Shabazian lose. But really, you have to take O'Malley here. The price is not right, though. I don't even feel comfortable putting him in a parlay. You know, this is his toughest test to date. The value here is on Vera or O'Malley by decision because Cheeto's, you know, his chin's pretty good. But I'm going to take O'Malley by decision. All right, guys, the trilogy, the main event, the battle of the heavyweights. We have the champion Stipe Miocic taking on Daniel D.C. Cormier. We're going to take a look at the champ. He is minus 110. So it's pretty much a pick 'em, but Cormier with the slight favorite. But he is minus 110. He's 37 years old, 6'4", 230 pounds, 80-inch reach, 19-3 record, 13-3 in the UFC. You know, Stipe has crisp, smooth boxing. He will tag the head, tag the body while mixing in leg kicks. Stipe, you know, has solid wrestling of his own, and he will tire out his opponents while on top, and he will look for the finish in the meantime. The guy will accumulate nice strikes if on top. with those knockouts over Overeem and Junior Dos Santos. He has some nice power too, KOing out cold Werdum and Arlovsky, Hunt. And in their second fight with that volume against Cormier, taking him out, taking advantage of a more tired Cormier. In the rematch, we know how the first fight went. We didn't really see too much. Cormier got the knockout early. It was a shot that Stipe didn't see coming. But in the second fight, Stipe got taken down once, but after that he showed solid takedown defense against Cormier. And he shows solid takedown defense in his fights generally. He doesn't really get taken down. In the second fight, Stipe looked like the fresher of the two by round 3. That was a fun fight. It was back and forth. Stipe looked like he was, in the fourth round. I mean, the guy was consistently putting on pressure on Cormier, and we don't know how Cormier's cardio is now. But we'll take a look at what Stipe can work on. He's been finished clean on numerous occasions. Most recently in his first fight against Cormier, and he was dropped on several occasions in previous fights. So really his chin is definitely in question. The guy is 37 years old also. And against Cormier, Stipe didn't show much off of his back when he was being controlled. And then we've seen that Stipe, he wears damage a little bit easier than Cormier does. So again, when judges see a fighter who's has a lot of wear and tear on their face, blood coming out, but he's still winning the fight, judges may lean toward the other way. Let's take a look at Daniel Cormier. He's minus 120, so he's a slight favorite. He's 41 years old, 5'11". He weighs at 236 pounds, so he's going to be a little bit heavier, but not too much. 72.5-inch reach, so, Stipe is going to have the big reach advantage, but that's nothing new to Cormier. He's fought, longer, taller guys before, like John Jones. He's 22-2 MMA, 11-3 in the UFC. We need to take into account that Cormier said this is his last fight. So that could say a lot about maybe how his training is going. We don't know. But let's take a look at the pros. The guy is probably the best wrestler in the heavyweight division. I mean, there's Curtis Blades, but really, the guy's an Olympian. He's known for his slams. He'll pick guys up and slam them. Cormier likes to apply pressure early, and he likes to be the aggressor. Cormier doesn't have that Ngannou-like power, but he has that volume and that constant jab, that does damage throughout the fight. He shows nice leg kicks at times. Cormier, is pretty durable, I must say. And he can take an extreme amount of punishment. Cormier, unfortunately, is 41 now, going on 42. Already decided this is his last fight. We know fighters who have already contemplated retirement, they really don't come out on top. Cormier tends to fade by the third, as we've seen recently. And, he will get taken down himself. Later in the fight, Stipe was able to get a takedown. Cormier will get back up, though. And he will, but he overextends, when he lands his shots. He can't get countered because he overextends too much trying to reach for those taller guys. My prediction, it's going to be a tough one. I'm not confident with this one. I feel like it could go either way. I feel like DC's path to victory has to be ending the fight early, just like the first fight. And then Stipe's path to victory is taking the fight to the third, to the fourth, to the fifth, and tiring out Cormier and getting a TKO win. My prediction, though, I'm going to go with Stipe by knockout. He's going to win the trilogy, but I'm not confident. Cormier's chin seems to hold a little bit better than Stipe's, and he can tag him early just like their first fight. But on the flip side, if Stipe really can let this go past 3 rounds, Cormier will probably fade. Cormier's punches will start to get softer as the fight goes on. We've seen that in the second fight. And then Stipe's volume kind of increases. I don't see this one being much of a difference from their second fight. I really think this fight ends in the championship rounds again. Maybe rounds 3, rounds 4, rounds 5. I just think DC's done. We appreciate everything that DC has done. He's a legend. Thank you for everything you've done in the sport. Your rivalries, your smack talking, your battles, your slams. I mean, this guy is a legend. But really, once Stipe wins this, they're gonna throw him Stipe Francis 2. My prediction: Stipe by knockout, but I'm not confident on this one, guys. But it's going to be a fun fight regardless. That was fun. I enjoyed doing those breakdowns. Please leave your comments down below on who you think will win, your predictions. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Any feedback would be awesome too. And please don't forget to tune in Thursday, Friday. I will be posting in the comments best bets and my own personal bets. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy the fights, and I'll see you all next time.